Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the From Adversity to Abundance podcast. I am your host, Jamie Bateman, and I'm pumped today to have with us Patrick Franz. Patrick, how are you doing today?
Super pumped, man. Glad to be on your show. Thanks for having me on here as a guest, and I can't wait to hopefully bless your listeners and audience with some good nuggets today. Maybe help them go from whatever they're having in their lives as adversity to maybe going from that to abundance.
Absolutely. I love that. And for the listener, Patrick is a family man, an entrepreneur, a mentor. We're going to get into it more later, but he's got his hands in a lot of different things, a professional investor. And he and I we cross paths in note investing, but I know you got a lot of other things going on as well, Patrick. So for the listener out there, what are you up to today?
Well, really up to today, man, I'm managing now businesses. I'm financially free. I'm hanging out with my family, my 4.5-year-old daughter. I'm playing golf twice a week at the country club and enjoying life. Finally, that's what I'm doing today.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So that sounds like abundance. We know you have some bad days here and there, of course, right? But it sounds like you've really gotten intentional and you're able to live your best life right now. I don't think it's always been that way, though. So let's jump back. The show, as you know, From Adversity to Abundance, we're not here to, push on too many pain points, make anybody cry on the show. If it happens, it happens. But we're here to walk through some rough periods that you've been through and draw out some lessons and really to inspire the listener, let them know that, hey, you're going to go through hard times. We've all been through hard times. We're all going to go through more hard times, whether that's relationship, financial, health, etc. But Patrick, your story is different than anyone else's, and that's what we're here to learn from today. So take us back. Where do you want to start?
Well, let me just say I'm here to help people understand that they can break themselves free of financial slavery within a few short years, no matter where you're at, who you are, what your circumstances are. And that's where I'm going out into the world now as me serving others to help people understand that and to show them ways they can get it done. Right.
That's awesome.
Because, not to say it's a struggle or it's adversity to have a job, a job, and have that 40-40 plan working for you, which is the 40 hours a week for 40 years kind of a thing. But if you haven't woken up to it yet, it is a bit of financial slavery. And I'm not saying it's horrible, but everybody who works 40 hours a week for 40 years of their life, gives up their life and their time for a little bit of money, is up against some adversity in life, true. In my opinion. And we will go that way, Jamie, with all things, because I believe that as we discussed a little bit earlier before we started the show, I think that the financial portion of someone's life is not the end all be all, and it's not the most important thing. But I'll tell you what, when you talk about financial life combined with your personal health, fitness, and spirit, also then with your relationships with other people and what you can do to serve others, it all kind of goes together, man.
100%. Couldn't agree more. It's critical. That's why the show is aimed at entrepreneurs and taking control of your financial life and your financial future, and not abdicating that to whether that's your employer or your money manager or somebody else, but taking ownership of your situation. And that really often does start with your financial situation, because it absolutely is all tied together. Money is, we don't have to get too religious, but money is absolutely all through the Bible as one example, right? It's critical. It's not something to ignore. It's absolutely imperative that people understand the importance of money. We don't want to worship money, right? But it's hugely important and very powerful, can be used for good or bad. That's my I'll get off of my soapbox, but that's my view.
You're so right though, Jamie. I mean, look, if you're struggling financially to afford to put food on your table, then you're not going to go down and feed the homeless. Okay. That's it. You can't afford to buy enough food for them either. Okay. So, it's first of all, taking care of yourself, your mindset, your health, and those things, but it's the development of yourself to understand that there's a new way. And if you're looking at adversity financially, trust me, within 36 months, 48 months from today, you can be completely financially free. I promise you can. I've done it. My partner did it. I've seen people do it. It's achievable. It's not crazy, right? How about health? If you're overweight, if you have health problems, if you have high cholesterol, diabetes, any of these things, it's all been proven that it is you can reverse this. Okay. In a few short years, you can become healthy and you can become abundant in that manner. And also the same way of breaking outside your comfort zone, getting around different circles of people, being willing to build new relationships is amazing at how the opportunity for abundance, whether it be health, spiritual, or financial, tend to open up.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. That's awesome. So I know we're going to get into more lessons and more specifics about how you were able to reach abundance and overcome adversity. But let's talk more about the adversity that you did go through. What did that paint us a picture? Give us some context, and maybe right before you hit your first real low point financially, what did things look like?
Well, if anybody can relate, my father was a college professor at San Diego State University. My mother was a gymnastics coach. Great parents. I grew up in the most loving family. We were not broke, so I didn't have to struggle for food and necessity. But also, my family had zero financial intelligence, never made any investments, and worked their entire lives until they were old enough to be, too old to enjoy life anymore. Right? You're too old to go rock climbing and snow skiing, but you finally get time to do it. Right. And that was my family. And so I really grew up in an athletic and competitive environment, no financial intelligence or real financial lessons. And of course, as we go through elementary school and junior high and high school and even college, they don't teach real financial intelligence to people. They teach us how to go out into the workforce and be an ant in the ant farm, of course. Right. Sure. And so not to say that that was adversity, but I'll tell you what, I kind of had this little notion inside me. I don't know if other people listening can relate, but you kind of knew that doing 6 hours of homework after you already went to school for 6 hours was kind of a weird dynamic, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Kind of knew when you got your first job and maybe your boss was a jerk and you were getting paid measly amount of money, but you were busting your rear end 8 hours a day, like a busser or a server, or, like I was at my younger years. You kind of got it. You were like, dang, this is not the cool life that I really think I should be living. It feels bad. There is? It feels bad inside you, right? It feels bad inside you, right?
Absolutely.
And so I felt like that. And so I got my first job when I was 15 years old in 1994 as a salesperson, because I thought that would be fun, at least more fun than going and working as a cashier, busting tables. So I got a job as a telemarketer selling bumper stickers. And that was my first real lesson in, I guess, entrepreneurial endeavors, because it was straight commission, right?
Yeah, sure.
But that just at least spawned to me that I saw people that could do something that was a little more fun, and you could make a little bit more money than as you were just working as a cashier.
You eat what you kill, and you're theoretically, at least your effort is directly rewarded by pay, right? So your performance leads to a higher pay. You have more control of the results in a.
Now, what happened? Of course, my sister shut her telemarketing company down because she was done with that business. So and so you go into these younger years, and here's what I'll tell you: all of us should do this. It's a good experience. It hopefully builds your character. But I worked as a busser at a fish restaurant. Ooh, that was a fun one. I worked as a lumber handler in a lumber yard, throwing concrete sacks and beams and things like that, loading trucks. Worked as a waiter at TGI Fridays. Man, I wore the flare. I had the button.
Nice.
But you know what I'm saying? And those are what I call those odd jobs that you're doing to get yourself through high school, college years, and those kinds of things.
Absolutely.
What I hate to see is somebody who's 52, no offense, if he's 52 and he's working as a waiter at TGI Fridays right now, he missed something.
Absolutely.
And it's not our faults. I want people to understand that some of this adversity we all feel, and some of this adversity we're going through, it's not purposeful. We just don't know what we don't know. And it was never taught to us. And that's the unfortunate part.
Sure.
So what happened was, Jamie, is that after those odd jobs, man, I thought, I was 19 years old, and I thought, I'm going to be rich. so I went down and I had my father buy me my first suit. I didn't own a suit. I had my dad take me to Nordstrom's Rack and buy me my first suit for $300. I remember it's navy blue. And I said, Dad, I'm going to go interview down in La Jolla, California, where the guys drive the Ferraris. And I'm going to go get a job as a salesperson. I'm going to be rich. You'll see. Well, I went down and worked hard in a boiler room for some startup.com companies that were raising funds back then in those old days in La Jolla. Owners really were driving Ferraris. Okay. But I found out that, it was people that were getting wealthy off of the backs of others, maybe, that were getting ruined at the same time. We're willing to step over other people, or investors would lose, but they'd still win, kind of a notion. And I learned the wrong way things could be done. And how good people could lose money very simply, making bad investments. And I learned this at 19. Now, listen, I made pretty good money on the boiler room. Of course, I was young. I didn't know any better. And what happened with that company? I was doing well there. It went under. It went under.
Yeah, there's a theme here. There's a theme here.
There's a theme here. And I'm getting to people. And I guess the theme and the point of this, and I'll finish up, but the point of at the end of this, the point is, trust me, don't give up, guys. I achieved financial freedom, more spiritual freedom, better health, and better relationships now at 43 years old. And only in the last 4 years of my life has it occurred. And I'm just going through. You want some adversity? Yeah. Let's go down this road. Yeah. In 99, I was selling venture capital down in La Jolla, right? That company went under. In 2001, I got a job selling home remodeling because, again, I thought sales was the way to go.
Sure.
But what I didn't realize is in the sales business, to make the money, you are working more than 8 hours a day. So, people think I want to go do sales. It's going to be an easy route to big money. No, man, the follow-ups, the straight commissions, stress, and all this, and working, literally leaving my house at 8 o'clock in the morning, right? And not coming home till 10:30 at night. And I ran appointments all day, driving around town and going and trying to sell things to people. And it's like, look, you're chasing after that better money, right? Shoot, I might have been making double the yearly income that my buddy was, who was working down at the restaurant, right? So I'm doing better. But man, I got to tell you, working 8 o'clock in the morning, 8:30 in the morning to 10 p.m. and not having any life is where you see the adversity.
Absolutely. No. And I do think sales is a fantastic training ground really for any entrepreneur. And I think obviously sales is critical, just sales as a general category, right? If you're going to run a business, you got to have some kind of sales department or person doing sales, right? And learning how to get rejected and how to look at the big picture if the deal falls through. And I think it's critical. It's a great skill to learn, but and there's always a but, right? But you're absolutely right. It's still a job that, you're how much more were you making per hour than the person who was working that 40 hours? Maybe a little bit, I don't know. But it's very inconsistent too. My father was a real estate agent, still is technically for, he's been a real estate agent for, I don't know, decades. Right. Yep. And we had some good times growing up with him doing well. And then we had some really challenging times, and that's all sales. I mean, it's very market dependent. It's you had companies close down, you had no control over that. I mean, so you still don't really have control or abundance in that, at least in those sales jobs, it sounds like. So walk us through the next few years after that. What happened?
Well, I mean, you're trying to, and the point to that is this: it might have been making good money, but it's okay. You have to chase after the next deal always. So I was always having to trade my time and energy for the next commission. Right. And 10 hours a day, 10 hours a day, 6 days a week as a young guy. Come on. When are you golfing? When are you surfing? When are you dating? It was like, come on, man. Okay. But I was young enough. I didn't get that lesson. Now in 2005, I decided, young and full of cockiness and energy, of course, thank goodness. But listen, this sales stuff is great, but I need to get rich because I'm sick of working 10 hours a day and chasing commissions. I need to figure out a way to get rich. So I literally did what most people wouldn't do. And I tell you that you should, if you have an idea, if you have something that you think would help the world, if you think that you have what it takes halfway, surround yourself with some people that see your vision and go for it. And what I did was, I had an invention idea. Have we all had one of those?
Okay. Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Okay. Absolutely. We're all been in the garage. Well, if I invented that, man, I'd be rich. Okay. Well, I was one of the people that went, you know what, then I'm going to invent it and get rich. Okay. And it was called the Auto Finder, Jamie. I have it here in my office. I show you the box, but I thought people could use an auto finding device to find their car in parking lots, like at the sports arena, the state, and you forget what aisle you parked in, you wander around aimlessly. So I created a car alarm key fob that would find your car for you in a parking lot.
Okay.
Got 3 or 4 patents in my name, amazingly so. We raised about $3.1 million. We made the product in Shenzhen, China. I manufactured a product we could sell at retail. And the idea was to get it licensed with auto manufacturers. Because boy, if my auto car alarm key fob technology would be licensed to GM and BMW and these guys, set. I'm set. I'm set. Well, let me tell you something, Jamie. Let me tell you something, man. 2007, after I had gone to General Motors to Detroit and visited their facility and shown them a demonstration of my proof of concept, I had a big package this thick come across, back then a fax machine, come across that was the contract that they wanted to have my technology in the General Motors manufacturing line by 2014, I believe it was. Okay.
9
Now,
years
this
later.
is a big thing from General Motors. And so, of course, we're just a couple of guys in a small company and we're trying to get big here. And I send this to my attorney and he's reviewing it. It's going to take a month or two for him to go through it word for word and come back with counters in their contract and so forth. So here, Jamie, I'm going to make it, man. I have an invention. I've got patents on it. It works. I'm finding cars in parking lots from a key fob. I go to GM. I show them that it works. It's like a Shark Tank dream, right?
Sure.
It's like a Shark Tank. Sure. And GM sends me a contract and says, we'd like to work with you and we'd like to put your technology. Hallelujah, man. Hallelujah.
Yeah, absolutely. No,
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this, bro. 2 to 3 weeks later, I'm sitting at my desk. My fax machine goes off randomly. And I yelled to my partner in the next office next door, hey, you expecting a fax? No, we're not. I pull the paper out. Jamie, guess what it says? And guess what happened to the economy right then?
Oh, yeah. Sure.
It says due to economic failure and crisis, General Motors is no longer accepting new technologies into their manufacturing platforms. We're sorry to inform you that, GM needed a bailout. GM needed a government bailout.
Yeah, all of Detroit, all the manufacturers got hit really hard. Absolutely.
Squished.
Done. Yeah.
Done. And we were in debt and we had financing we owed to investors and all this other stuff. And I had to let that company go in 2011. And it, we did a stock trade and backed that company into a shell. And I was done, man. I spent years and years of my life and was this close to financial success and it all went to nothing.
Wow.
I was right back to, well, what do I do now?
Yeah. Cause that's, wow. That is, that's very real. Like we had, I had a couple of ideas, like a couple of friends and I would work on we had the 9-slice pizza cutter. We were like, well, what if you have 3 buddies and one person only gets 1 slice and the other 2 guys get 3 slices? This 9-slice pizza cutter, this is going to take off. Of course, we never really followed through. We had some meetings and things and we had some other ideas.
This is my retail. This is the retail ready product right here that was on shelves in stores right here.
Wow.
That is product.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I didn't think you were, I didn't think it was going to go that far. This is like super real. Like, and you raised $3.1 million, you said?
Yep.
Wow.
And then, it was there. It was there, man. It was there. I was in Sky Mall. I was in Sky Mall catalog and First Street catalog and all the little gadget catalogs. And we were there, man. And look, could I predict that the economy was going to melt down and that GM was going to need a bailout and all of a sudden my contract was going to be squished like it was never there?
Of course not.
Okay. Yeah. So that hurt a little bit. And, after that, it was like, well, damn, do I give up being an entrepreneur now? Right. You get all this depression and all this, man, we were right there. I guess it's just not meant for me.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Talk about that. Just that, how long were you in that down period and mentally, or, when what's going through your mind and how did you rebound?
Dude, I'll tell you, it was like that hit me. And then I was, of course, grew up being an extreme athlete. I was still an athlete, but a little older, right? And body's not as good as it was. And I was playing in adult indoor soccer.
Okay.
Right about this same time.
Yep.
And I tore my ACL. And so when you compound like the depression and the failure, and you feel not only bad for yourself, like you failed and all this, and now I was right there, but dang, and then my investors, man, I felt bad for all the people that believed in my product, believed in me and the motion. Then I busted my leg and I had a pretty gnarly surgery with like 6-month recovery time. And I literally took about 1.5 years off just to sit in a hole. Okay. Do recovery on my leg, get to walking good again. And just try to figure out, right? You're going, okay, you feel lost. You're blanked now. Yeah. Like I thought I had everything going and now there's nothing going.
Sure. It's like your whole, the definition of your identity is just rocked at that point. Cause you don't really even know who you are at that point. So how old were you? And what else was going on in your life at that 1.5 years? What give us a little more context.
You know what, man? Literally, I was on disability. I was on pain pills. I was going through knee therapy. I was, back then poker was really popular back then. I was playing a lot of poker and just literally just trying to forget about the losses and about my pain and about, everything and figure out where I find myself where do I want to go next? Right.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, maybe somebody can relate to this. You don't want to know why I didn't have any place where I thought I could go, because I had lost any type of confidence and any type of drive. And so in that case, I just wanted to do enough to survive now. Like, well, let me go get another job. Let me go do sales again, which is exactly what happened.
Okay.
After I got through knee therapy and all that, man, I went back to outside sales again, just like I had never left it. And I did that for a bit, man. And I'll tell you what happened is that I was at a dinner with somebody one time, and I was now back into the working 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, running leads, always busy, can't go on a vacation. I had no life, man, but I was back to making an okay income. So I felt good. Right.
Sure.
And this gentleman said to me, "Hey, Patrick, you've always been a hustler. You've always been trying. You're not lazy. That's one thing.
Right.
You're always trying something, and you've been defeated several times, but now you're back to working 10 hours a day, 6 days a week." And he said to me something no one's ever said to me. He said, "How long do you want to continue to waste 50 hours per week of your life to make 120 grand a year?" No one had ever said something like that to me.
Yeah.
Everybody always said, "Hey, you're a good entrepreneur. You're always hustling. Good try, man. You're doing great." He was like, "Dude, yeah, that seems like you're doing great," but he got the underlying notion that
he saw the big picture. Yeah,
I was a slave.
Absolutely.
I went back to slavery.
Right. Now, I will say, I mean, maybe you have a different take, but I don't think there's anything wrong with doing what you have to do in the moment or in the situation to go back to sales, go back to what you're good at, go back to what you know. Nothing wrong with hustling to get your feet under you and get moving. But to your point, how long are you going to do that for? And to his point, right?
What a great fallback. Okay. I mean, they say, they don't always say if you got a science degree from college that you'll always have a great job, but they always do say if you learn how to be a good salesperson, you'll never be without work. Right. So great fallback. But again, and it's nothing wrong with that. We all have to have some way to make income. We know that. Yeah. And that's what I did. But I'll tell you what I did, man. I went from like 2015 to about 2018, maybe 2014 to 2018, where I went into sales management. I thought, well, I've gotten pretty good at this outside sales, so let me just train all the salespeople how to go do it. And I thought I was leveling up, right? But I was leveling up corporately. Corporately, right? Yeah. So now the responsibility level and the boss controlling your life and your hours and all of this got even worse.
Now, were you making more money as a manager or less? Just curious.
I was making about the same because I was a pretty good salesperson. So, be careful what you wish for.
The reason I asked that is my father, again, he managed one of the I think Coldwell Banker offices back in the day for about 6 years. He made about half of what he was making when he was a sales rep. So he's like, screw this. I have more responsibility, more people breathing down my neck, more people to watch over, and I'm making half of what I was making as a salesperson. So he went back. But yeah, a lot of times it looks good on paper as a sales manager, but it's not necessarily what you think it's going to be long-term. So, okay. So you did that for what, about 4 years, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. And so 2018, it sounds like maybe there was a breakthrough.
This was it. That was when a gentleman I was sitting at dinner with asked me that question. He said, "How long do you want to waste your life, man?" Basically is what he said. He said it more politely, but he's like, "Dude, you're young and you're wasting your whole life. You're a slave to your job. How long do you want to do that?" And no one had ever asked me something like that before. So it kind of hit me a little bit strong. And of course I have the same answer that everybody's got, right? I told him, "Dude, I would have quit yesterday if I could, but I'm kind of stuck because I got to have my income and I got my bills and I got my house mortgage, my car payments and all this stuff. What am I supposed to do?" Right.
Right.
There you go. And that's most everybody. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, sometimes it takes like, as we say, for Michael Jordan to have been Michael Jordan, he needed Scottie Pippen.
Sure.
And vice versa. It's not a one-man show. And so what I said to this guy, because he was somebody who had achieved a bit of financial freedom. He was doing investments in mortgage notes, as you know. And he said to me, "Listen, I'll mentor you and I'll show you a way where you can make just as much money, but you can have freedom." He said, "If you want me to mentor you, I have to see that you're all in." And I just didn't know what that meant, right? So, didn't know what that meant.
Sure.
Well, all in means you're just not talk, because everybody says, well, I'm going to do this. And I promise I want to do this. And I want to do that. And he knows that everybody's like that. And he said, I don't want to hear none of that. When I see a commitment from you. And Jamie, I had been through the ringer a lot, man. I had already had stuff that was right at the brink of success and failed. And I could always go back to sales. And so here's what I did, man. And I want everybody here to take this as a lesson, to say, sometimes you just got to jump. Okay. Sometimes you just
love that.
Jump. Okay. Just got to jump. Sometimes we all stand at the top of the high dive and our knees shake and the board bounces up and down and we look down and we just won't jump. And them little kids that finally jump, they just won't leave the pool now. They're going up and down the ladder because it gets fun, right? So sometimes, guys, just jump. You can always fall back on working 10 hours a day for somebody else's company again. And if you're good at what you do, they'll hire you. Okay.
100%. And one thing that comes to mind real quickly is the concept of thinking of this, whether I should jump or not. Think about it as even if versus what if. So even if I try this, I'm all in for a year and this guy is not all he's cracked up to be, or this note investing is not actually my ticket. So what? So you go get the sales job again, or a different sales job again. You get a job again. You can get a job again. So instead of saying, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if this goes wrong? Which 90% of that stuff's never going to go wrong anyway. Focus on even if this happens, I'll be okay. Right. So beautiful. Love that. So you decided to, sounds like, rip off the Band-Aid, or you jump all in.
Dude, I'll tell you what I did, man. I sold my house. I moved to be close to this mentor, like 5 minutes from where he lived. And I started renting a house. I sold my house, started renting a house, moved my family when I had a brand new baby, handed the keys in to my $120,000 a year sales management job, bought and paid for a 650 square, or 600 square foot or 400 square foot office, whatever it was, a little outside room with one room. I put 2 desks back to back with computers, 5 minutes away from my mentor's house, moved my whole family, sold my house, quit my job, bro. And I said, I'm either going to sink or swim. And then guess what he said to me? Well, I guess you're pretty committed.
I was going to say, I'd say this is all in right here.
I'd say it's all in. So he said, I guess I'm going to have to show up in that office every day and start mentoring you. And I said, well, yeah, you better. So that was just the start. And I just wanted to let you guys know that was a pretty damn big commitment. And I did put like a lot of things in my life on the line, and it was sink or swim. But I will tell you something. It's interesting how you can throw certain types of people, kids, babies, animals into water, and they somehow by survival instinct figure out a way to swim to the edge. They swim, they don't drown. Absolutely. So think about that, guys. You are more durable than you really think you are. Okay. Yeah. You can do a hell of a lot more than you think you're capable of doing. And so in knowing that, I said, let's go. And I started getting into what we call the money business. I started learning how money works. I started getting my financial intelligence, learning how banks operate, learning how money flow actually operates, and compounding and those kinds of things. And I'm going to tell you right now, the education is and the expertise that you gain is your value in the end. It's going to be your value. What you don't know will hurt you. Okay.
No, and it's as we said before, you don't get taught this stuff in school, certainly not public schools. But it's critical information. I mean, just very briefly, I got out of college, didn't really know what, I was coaching lacrosse. I was an athlete as well. And then didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I got my first quote unquote real job, worked for a title company, which now turns out to be relevant for my businesses. But I realized very quickly how little I knew about the things you're talking about. What is a mortgage? What is a title what's title insurance? What's a settlement statement? That's pretty important stuff if you're going to go buy a house or do some investing, right? Yep. So it sounds like absolutely we're all in, and it sounds like he held up his end of the bargain as far as mentoring you. Was this like was it like a structured mentorship program, or I guess what was
it was me and him with a desk back to back in a room, and I had to listen to him for 6 months and ask questions and use a lot of yellow pads, man.
Nice. So what was he doing? I mean, what was the, what's your goal for 6 months from that point, or what did it look like?
Here's the theory. Okay. Here's the theory. the theory he was trying to help me understand and switch my mindset over to was that I've spent my whole life spending time and energy and hours of my life in trade for pay, for money.
Yeah.
And he said, what if you were a chiropractor? Just example. He said, what if you're a chiropractor and for every client that came into your office and you adjusted their back for them, they paid you $100 a month for the next 20 years for that one adjustment. I said, what are you talking about, man? He said, yeah, you know, you're in sales. What if for every deal you go out there and close, like you've been closing all these deals for years for these commissions? What if for every deal you've closed in your past as a salesperson, you had $100 a month coming in for 20 years off of each of those deals you closed?
Be pretty sweet.
So the theory was he was trying to show me that there's a different way in life to be abundant with your relationships, because if you're working 10 hours a day, you can't even hang out with your kids. Abundance with your spiritualism and your health, because you can't go to the gym and you can't afford to eat healthily if you don't have any money. And financially learning this one lesson, there are things that we can do, folks, in which you do all the work up front once, and you can get paid month after month after month after month after month. It's called passive monthly cash flow. And he was showing me that with mortgage note investing, that can be something that you can achieve. And let me tell you, Jamie, the first deal I did, brother, was I did a deal and my monthly cash flow from one of my first note deals I ever did was $35 a month.
So you're immediately sitting on the beach sipping Mai Tais. I mean, this is
it's $35 a month. But here's what I learned, right? Here's what I learned. I did work one time that probably took me 4 to 6 hours total of work I did.
Sure.
And I got $35 a month coming in every month now in perpetuity for years.
No, that's powerful. That is. It may not seem like it immediately, but you're absolutely right. You're front loading the work, which isn't a ton of work, and you're buying an asset, and that asset spits off cash flow for you and you're putting your money to work as opposed to trading your time for money directly. So that's awesome. So then it's like, okay, let me do that again, right?
well, sure. What if you were a salesperson like I used to be, and I would go out and sell a customer something? What if you're car sales and somebody came in, you sold them a car?
Sure. It's transactional. It's
transactional. But now you got to go sell another car.
Exactly.
Well, think of the same process. Again, every car you sold to somebody also came with $35, $100, $200, $300 per month that they paid you for the next 20 years because you sold that car. So that was the lesson, right? And when I learned, and you could pick something like, my monthly Starbucks bill. Well, at least at that point, from doing one deal, I could tell myself then that now for the next 20 years, I don't have to worry about my Starbucks bill. It's paid for, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And so how many times can I do that? Just like how many cars did I have to sell as a car salesperson, or how many clients did I have to help run in my business or whatever? It was just, but here's the thing. The person that partnered with me, because I had a financial partner on that. One of the lessons I learned is I could get that $35 a month without any money of my own invested. Okay. So my partner came in, he helped me fund a deal. And here's the cool thing, man. I got $35 a month passively for many, many years off of that deal. And that was my thing. Well, the partner that helped me, I served somebody. I want that to be the point, guys. The person that funded that deal for me, he made 10% annualized return on his money for quite a few years in that deal. And he was extraordinarily happy that I brought him into that partnership as well. But that was the lesson I learned, right? And now let's put this on rinse and repeat. And Jamie, I know that we don't have too much time, but here's what I want to tell people for hope, okay? I did not know what a mortgage note investment was up till 2018. Didn't know what it was. And you all know my backstory. I was trying, I was hustling. Oh, by the way, I didn't tell you about the 3 or 4 network marketing companies that I have strewn into the past and all this other stuff, right? So it was always try, fail, try to see a clear path, and then it gets fogged up and things in your way, and you're going, this was just not what I expected, right? Well, I'll tell you what, I now have 72 mortgage notes under management, and they produce about $43,000 a month in passive cash flow. So ask your audience if that now seems sexy, because some people are like, well, yeah, you did work, but you only got $35 a month. But I put it on rinse and repeat. And from 2018 to 2023, we now have $43,000 a month of cash flow coming in. So that gets really sexy, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And like you said, you're solving a problem for somebody else. And I know a lot of people who are starting out raising capital or trying to find a money partner, or, you know, they're worried about asking for money because it's, well, I don't, you know, I don't want to put this person out. No, switch your mindset. You're actually providing value. You provided value to your money partner. You're together, you can do a lot more, right? As opposed to, I mean, same thing with the mentor, right? You wouldn't have done really any of this without him, right? I mean, so I think that's one of the common themes through this episode so far is just teamwork and collaboration. And so you already said it earlier, surrounding yourself with good people and people who are going to influence you and you can add value to as well. You all win together. So that's fantastic. Yeah. So it's kind of walk us through from, you know, say 2018 through over the last 5 years. How has your professional and your financial picture evolved, and how have you gotten to abundance? What's that look like, that progression over the last 5 years?
First of all, you know, stopped chasing dreams and money for myself. I think that's a problem that we have. And
okay.
when it's all for yourself, I guess the universe doesn't bless you really, you know, it doesn't bless you. You're not ready to accept the responsibility of being wealthy. Okay. And so I changed my mindset into serving other people. And,
love that.
You know, as you say, if the more people that you help get what they want in life, then you'll get what you want in life, I think is very, very true. And let me just let you know about opportunity, guys, and saying yes and moving forward and taking leaps and getting yourself around new people and those kinds of things. For the 3 things that Jamie likes to concentrate on on his show here, which is the financial part, the health and spiritual part, and your relationship part, right?
Yep.
They are all tied together. And so because I was willing to say yes, and because I was willing to take risk, and because I was willing to start learning something new skills, step outside my comfort zone, get mentored by somebody that was above me, knew more, been there, done that. And because I did that, guys, the note investing by itself has created me a life that I never thought I could have. Okay. That I am financially free. I'm going 2.5 weeks to Hawaii in October. And when I come back, everything will be the same. I won't have to be yelled at by a boss, or I won't have to be stressed about leaving town. And so it's a beautiful life, right? But the opportunities that come to you, if you're in the right place mentally, and you're also in the right place with way of knowledge and expertise, you're willing to accept these opportunities, you'll be amazed at how the good Lord or the universe, however you want to put it, delivers when you're asking. So when I got into this money business and learned how to serve others, be a servant, be a deal maker, learn how money works, okay, and all of those lessons. Well, look at the opportunities now, Jamie. I'm going to skip ahead real quick because you had 2018 to now. Well, let's just go like this, folks. And this is not a brag session, but this is what can happen to you. I want you to understand it's only been from 2018 to now. And I tried everything under the sun prior, and it was always an uphill battle or maybe a failure. So here's what happened. 2018 to now. We now have a $20 million note fund that I'm a fund manager of. We run the Note Investor University, where, again, we're giving back. I want to teach people the same lessons I've learned that broke me free from the financial slavery shackles of the 9-to-5, the 40-40 plan. And we're going to teach other people that at Note Investor University. So I'm a coach at a big university where we're giving back, helping people. Okay. The other one is we're doing land entitlements in Florida. I would have never known about land entitlements. I would have never gotten in contact with the people that are doing it. We're building 300 apartment units in Palm Bay, Florida. So we're developing apartments from the ground up. So I'm going to just show you folks, right? From 2018, I didn't know what a note was. 2023, I'm running a fund, a coaching group, building apartments, doing land entitlements, on my way to being a multi-millionaire and setting myself and my family up financially for decades. And that's what I'm doing now. Now that I've lived through it, and I'm still in the trenches, Jamie, because this is not somebody here with me that did it 27 years ago and I'm still talking about my heyday. I'm in the trenches right now, folks, and my life has dramatically changed and is dramatically changing as we speak. And I want to just try to help bring as many people with me on that journey as possible.
Yeah, I love that. And it doesn't mean that somebody who, no one's story is going to be identical to yours. It doesn't mean it's going to, you know, someone's going to turn their life around and see this hockey stick progression in the next 2 years, no matter what. It might be 3 to 5 years from now, whatever it is. It might be it might not be note investing. It might be something else. But I love the fact that you can experience this massive growth in life. It's not this straight line to success, right? You've had a ton of ups and downs through your story. And then now the last 5 years, you've experienced incredible growth. Some of that is out of your control. Some of your your quote unquote failures were out of your control, right? But it never would have happened if you hadn't said yes. And if you hadn't surrounded yourself, if you hadn't gotten humble and listened to your mentor and gone all in, I mean, there's no way this would have happened. So a lot of it was within your control, and you had to change your mindset. And like you said, serve others. I love all that. So I've got a bunch of rapid fire questions. You ready for them?
Go for it.
Awesome. Patrick, what is one thing that people misunderstand about you?
They misunderstand, I guess, about me that, geez, that's a hard question. What do they misunderstand?
Tough one, right?
Yeah, it is a tough one. What do they misunderstand about me? I guess I get misunderstood because I do have an extensive sales background, and I trained for 20 years in a certain way of speaking, and I trained in public speaking and those kinds of things. So I can almost not help speak in that manner. And so I guess sometimes people misunderstand me and think that I come off as like a slickster or a snake oil salesperson or something.
Right.
So that could be a misunderstanding about me. Yeah.
Understood. Sure. You already talked about a lot of your low points. What's one of your biggest failures, and what did you learn from that experience?
One of my biggest failures was probably, with my auto finder company and my invention company. And, really failure might be the wrong term for it, but we'll go with that because it did ultimately fail, and it didn't succeed, and it didn't get into automobile manufacturing lines and so forth. My investors didn't get wealthy. I didn't get wealthy like we all thought. So that could be deemed a failure. But what did I learn? I learned that journey. Okay. And we've all heard this, it's a little cliche, but that journey and what I learned and the expertise I gained and the value that I got, the person I grew into going through that process was the gain. And the finances and getting rich and buying a boat and all this other stuff would have been neat. But I'll tell you what, even owning a Ferrari is not as neat as plentiful as the skills I learned and the person I became going through that adventure.
Sure. I don't think you'd be where you are now without that quote unquote failure. If you could go back and give your 18-year-old self some advice, what would that be?
Learn the money business.
Love that. Love that. Yeah. If I could get, I mean, my daughter's 16. I want her to be more interested in it, but I got 2 more years before she's 18. So if you could have coffee with any historical figure, who would it be?
Oh my goodness gracious. JFK.
Yeah, I don't give you all the questions up front. JFK. Good one. Love it. If you were given, I know you have abundance now, but if you were given $10 million more tomorrow, Patrick, literally just to you, not to your business, what would you do with it?
First thing is I would funnel it through my family banking system that we teach at our university, because that's the first place you want to go with your money. So I would run it through my family banking system so that I could guarantee, not just guess or hope, I can guarantee that my grandkids and my great grandkids will be trust fund babies, and they'll have a better financial opportunity than any of us ever had. And I can guarantee that. So I'd run it through there first. But then, one of the things that you learn once your cup is overflowing, and once you get there and your money problems now you can say are behind you, right? Well, then it's now giving back and bringing more people up from there. And so we have a 501c3, we have a nonprofit. And so I would probably look to do some good with a fair portion of that money.
Nice.
And the rest of it, man, I would invest into assets in which are collateralized, in which I can serve and give back to people in the community, and in which also in doing so, I can make a heavy return on my dollar.
Love that. Great answer. In your business, what's a challenge that you're facing right now? I mean, we know that nothing is all rainbows and unicorns and butterflies. There's always a challenge in small business. What's one challenge that you guys are facing right now?
Right now, there's ebbs and flows, and there's good problems. And right now I'd say we don't have any bad problems. We have good problems. But, one of the good problems you have, folks, is that when you're struggling and you're maybe trying to do your very first deal, a house flip or something, and you're trying to find a financial partner, and it seems like, boy, it's a struggle to get anybody to invest 20 grand with me or 50 grand or 100 grand with me in my house flip. And I just can't find anybody with money. And it's hard to find somebody with money, but you got this cool house flip to do. Well, people don't think of it adversely on the other side until they've been there, where it says you have so many people wanting to give you money and so many people wanting you to help them invest money in good places, and you're now trying to struggle to find enough assets and enough places to help with the money. And I will tell you this, if you, some people on the audience, go read the book Who Not How. Okay, go read Who Not How.
Book.
Yeah,
Great
cool
book.
But I think that's the thing too right now is as we grow and as we expand, okay, one of the good problems to have is not to figure out how to do everything as you grow and expand what you're doing.
Sure.
It is for me to find the right who's to put in place to work with me that see my vision and want to run with me for the next 5-10 years.
Love that. Great answer. Let's see. What's one thing in your field of expertise, that whether it's note investing or the broader financial education, everything you guys do, one thing that a view you hold that's controversial or something that most other people do not agree with you about?
Ooh, a view that's controversial, that leveraging cash leverageable whole life insurance policies in a dynasty trust is one of the best things you can ever possibly do for you and your family ever. And some people don't agree with that and they may think it's a little controversial.
I do infinite banking myself. It's probably maybe structured slightly differently, but I think it's way more controversial than it needs to be. So I'm a big fan of it. So, but
you want to know why it's controversial, Jamie? Because all the wealthiest families in the elite circles of this life financially have been doing it forever. And they don't want all of us little ants in the ant farm to know about it and that we should be doing it.
Banks do it. Companies do it, so I think we should be doing it.
Yes, sir.
All right. What's a book or two that you could recommend for my listener?
Got Who Not How in there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That is a great book, Dan Sullivan.
Yeah. If people want to know what we're talking about with mortgage note investing for passive cash flow, go read Jimmy Napier's book, right? It's called Invest in Debt. That'll give you a good idea of how I was able to begin creating my financial freedom, how you can do the same thing. That just go with those, right? And the Who Not How book, of course, the Who Not How book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the cliches and those kinds of things.
Sure.
And how about the Gain, Not the Gap?
Absolutely. I think I still have not read that one, but I should.
Well, yeah. And by the way, I'll throw it in. Okay. The Bible.
Oh,
the Bible. There's more lessons in that book that'll help you create abundance in your life, spiritually, financially, and all of those than any of the books I've mentioned.
Love it. What is one question that I have not asked you, Patrick, that you wish I had?
Oh, goodness. I guess, where do I see myself in 10 years?
Go for it.
I see myself trying to create so much financial wealth for people that they can break free financially, okay, which will help them spiritually and help them with the relationships. And life's always better. Money's not the end all be all, but I'll tell you, it ain't the root of all evil either. Okay, it's something that's a necessity. And if your cup does not spilleth over spiritually, you won't spiritually give back. If your cup does not filleth over financially, you cannot financially give back or help others financially. So I want people to spill over in all forms of life, okay, and be able to give back and bring other people up, okay, and not push other people down. That's one thing. And the next 10 years, I see myself helping, thousands of people do that. And that's the way I'm going to give back. But also too, the growth. I want somebody to understand this lesson as well. And I'm going to relate that to where I see myself in 10 years. Sometimes people couldn't answer this question, Jamie. And if in 2018, you would have told me I'd be where I'm at now in 2023, I would have told you were on drugs. Okay. And I know that's most people. Okay. But what I want you to understand is this. Sometimes we have to look back at 4 years ago and pat ourselves on the back a little bit and be happy about the growth and who we've become and how much more we've learned and all of that. And the problem with some people, Jamie, is if you can't go back to yourself 4 years ago and you're not any different, that's depressing. Okay.
Sure.
That's depressing. You don't want to be stuck in the same suckville you were in 5 years ago. You want to change. Okay? But so here's the thing. If I look and I see myself now, I don't see something big. I don't see this big success that people may see from the outside. It's just me. And I've just been hustling for 25 years trying to get here. Right. But if I did go sit with myself and have lunch with myself, from 4 years ago, I would amaze myself. And so what I would say to you guys is this. You don't know where you could possibly end up. It would be further and better than your wildest dreams could imagine, because from where you're at right now, you can only see so far, right? You have to actually take some steps forward to get there. And it's amazing once you get there, how much further you could see, right? So I believe in 10 years, I will be giving back, helping thousands of people create financial freedom and financial legacy. I'll be providing housing in areas of growth and migration in the United States by way of building apartments. I will be helping homeowners in the next recession and the next financial crisis. I'll be helping homeowners avoid foreclosure and stay in their homes, helping to save communities. And ultimately, at the end of the day, all that's nifty and neat. But I want my daughter, who's 4.5 now, when she's 14.5, to say that I'm a good dad, right? That's where I see myself.
Fantastic. Yeah, that was a lot of gold nuggets right there for sure. Really just not putting limiting beliefs on yourself as far as what's possible and what's, what the future holds for you, right? For all of us. And also taking inventory of the success that you've had, it's okay to look back and celebrate the growth that you've had. I think that's something that I know entrepreneurs get caught up in. I know I do. It's like, I'm busy grinding all the time. And it's like, oh, I've actually done pretty well in the last few years, and we should celebrate that, right? So
can I give an analogy to be fair to people so that they don't go like, well, man,
Absolutely.
I don't know. Like, listen, man, it's like success. Your success is like raising a child. Jamie, right?
Oh yeah.
So anybody who's got kids, you understand this. You're with your kid 24/7. And so when your kid goes from 2 years old to 3 years old to 4 years old, you don't really see the dramatic changes. Now,
100%.
somebody who hasn't seen your child since they were 2 and they see your child now that they're 4, they go, whoa, it's like a little adult. Oh my God, totally different. Wow. They see this big growth, right? So like in my growth process, I know if I went back and compared myself to who I was in 2018, it's a dramatic difference. Sure. Do I feel that? Do I reward myself for this? No, it's more so like a buddy, a buddy that I went to play golf with the other day, who I've been friends with for years, who's known me all through some of my home improvement sales and sales management and all this stuff for like 10 years. Well, he hasn't seen me in like 3 or 4 years. Right. And I came rolling up in the, in the bins and in the detailed bins with the nice golf clothes on and put myself, well, same dude. And I'm same friend. Right. I'm like, hey, what's up, bro? It's been a while. It's gonna be so fun to go. And he's like, damn, what are you been doing, man? And all that. Right. And so it is so hard to do. It's not our fault because we're so attached to it 24/7. You don't kind of see your growth, you're so close to it. But yes, if you can look back and say, golly gee, from now, and if I look back 5 years ago, I'm a totally different person. I'm better. I got better relationships. My health is better. My finances are getting better. Stuff is getting better. I didn't want to stay the same, and I'm achieving that. Now, you might not think it's going as quick as you wish, but then that's the gap. You'll never be satisfied. If somebody says, boy, if I could just make 10 grand a month, I'll have made it. Well, trust me, when you get to making 10 grand a month, you're going to be like, oh man, I need to be making 20 grand a month. When you're making 20 grand a month, you're going to go, man, 50 grand a month would be, and that's the gap they talk about in that book, The Gap in the Gain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really look back at the gain and be appreciative of the gain and then expect more gain. Okay. Don't always look at that gap, because the further you get up in the levels of life, there's always going to be a gap of where you think you want to be. Okay? Sure.
And then you're just going to be dissatisfied your whole life. And
exactly.
Die a grumpy old soul.
Exactly. And successful, but depressed.
Successful. Right. Yeah. Who wants that? So awesome, man. Patrick, where can people find you online?
First of all, if anybody wants to get with me about anything, I'm willing to help. If it's spiritual, if it's health, I feel like I have a pretty good grasp of things now, and I can hopefully give some advice and help people. So you're welcome to email me, patrick@investbrilliantly.com. So Patrick at investbrilliantly.com, which says also then you can go to investbrilliantly.com, and that's one of our websites where you can go and check out what it is we do. And then also, if somebody really is, Jamie, because I know it helped to change your life a bit. It's helped to change my life a bit. I've seen a lot of other people changing lives because they understand mortgage note investing. For sure. We have full programs to get you there and help you break into financial freedom within 36 months. And I know you can do it. So that's noteinvestoruniversity.com.
Awesome. Fantastic. Patrick Franz, this has been awesome, man. We've covered a lot of ground. You bring a lot of energy and a lot of positivity and a lot of, inspiration, but also actionable advice that people can actually take with them to take some steps. And that's what we're trying to accomplish here, is give people hope and inspiration that life is not always rainbows and butterflies. You're going to have hard times. You're going to hit financial challenges like you did, Patrick. But at the end of the day, if you surround yourself with good people, if you're willing to say yes, you're willing to take ownership and get that education, which is critical, massive growth and massive abundance can happen to you quickly. So thanks so much for spending your time with us, Patrick. It's been great.
Thank you so much for having me on, Jamie. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And to the listener, thank you for spending your most valuable resource with us, and that is your time. Don't forget to check out our website, adversity2abundance.com. That's the number 2, adversity2abundance.com. And we do have our book out, From Adversity to Abundance. So check that out. Thanks, everyone. Take care.